Welcome back to our continuing coverage of the European LCS. Our next match is between the 4-0 Fnatic and Elements, who only have one win to their name so far. You can hear the crowd chanting for Huni already. We've grown accustomed to it. We're going to take a look at the lineups before we delve into this matchup. For Fnatic on the blue side, as said, Huni, then Reignover, Febevin, Reckless, Yellow Star, and their coach, Daylor. And then on the other side, the lineup of Elements, really looking forward to, well, put their mark on the split and starting to get going within the top lane. JWoww, then Dexter, Froggen, Tabs, Promise Q, and their coach, Nif. Now, Fnatic, they're undefeated so far, but they are very, very reflective on their own performance. And we actually have a lot of social media posts of the guys and in interviews as well, saying that they are quite disappointed sometimes in their play. One of those comes from Reckless, who said on Facebook after week 2, "This week also showcased a lot of weaknesses in my individual gameplay. I'm really sad about my performance, especially today. Even when you're 4-0, that is quite, well, self-reflexive at that point."
It really is, but it's also a testament of how Reckless wants to play the game, what performance he's expecting from himself and from the rest of the team. Fnatic this split have been a lot more controlled, a lot more conscientious of their aggressive plays, and they've actually been behind in the early game in 2 of their 4 wins, but they've bounced back and they've shown that they can dig deep. So it's impressive to hear the attitude, and it's actually believable because we know that from Reckless, but it's also interesting because they're still 4-0. They're still a better version of the Spring Split team. So it'll be interesting to see how they handle themselves as the weeks continue to roll on.
Yeah, it actually prompted us to take a look at the stats and see, well, okay, what are they doing bad in? And it's really hard, and it's only if you compare them to OG that in some areas you could say that they are doing less well. But for instance, on average, they are 2,400 gold ahead of their enemy at 20 minutes. OG is ahead 4,000. But those are just a couple of things that you really have to delve deep to find. So overall, their performance is looking really well.
It starts getting quite nitpicky, as you said. We had to delve really, really far to find things. But one thing from I guess a bigger picture level that Fnatic have been doing is changing things up with regards to what they're playing. They're not being afraid to try new things this split. We've seen the Rise come from them. We saw the Ashe, the Cho'Gath in counter to the Rise. And a lot of it comes from what Daylor's comments were in the Life of Legends show that they do, where Daylor was saying that he's happy that the team is improving horizontally rather than just playing one style very well and improving vertically with just straight wins. Fnatic are becoming a much wider team when it comes to what they can play.
Yeah, and it's very nice to see that a team that was already the best in the Spring Split is taking, it's kind of a risky approach because you know that you're not putting everything on what you know to win games, but broadening it out. But it should set them up for a victory here versus Elements. I said Elements so far 1-3, and a lot of that comes down to Dexter doing great in that lineup, but it seems like he has too much to aid, and he can't be everywhere at the same time.
Absolutely, everybody needs Dexter. Every single Elements lane has been struggling either because of individual performances or because of picks and bans. We've seen Elements running late scaling champions. You can see kill participation here from Dexter, and the few kills they do have, he's always around. I spoke to Dexter after their loss last week and said, "Why are you guys picking such mid to late game champions?" And he's like, "Well, we've got to go back to the drawing board. We've got to look at things." And when you've got 3 lanes that all scale, that all need time, one jungler that has to be in 3 lanes at the same time, it's going to cost you games, and it has. The only game that Elements have won is because Dexter helped steal a Baron. Like, you know, he's the only shining light, and the rest of the lanes need to help themselves out, in my opinion, by starting in picks and bans.
The key word that you brought up there was scaling, and a lot of where the scaling comes from in Elements is the mid lane that we've seen from Froggen. We know he likes those kind of picks. The problem is Froggen, when it comes to looking at not only just the mid lane, is getting dominated when it comes to other players, other mid laners doing more along the map. Froggen's CS stats are still as good as ever. His stats in lane are still as good as ever when it comes to kills, but the actual effect on the game that he's having doesn't quite translate from those lane advantages as opposed to every other mid laner that we've seen up against him.
Yeah, and I actually feel that Froggen's not... I think Froggen's a shadow of his former self, and that's a gut feeling. The numbers don't necessarily reflect that opinion. He's pretty good in CS, he's pretty good in kill percentage, pretty good in kill share, which means he is roaming, he is getting involved, he is doing things with his team, but you don't feel it. I don't look at it and go, you know what, Pepe Nero is carrying Giants, and you can see that in his game performances. I don't have that same feeling when I look at Froggen's play in Summer. Now, I don't know, again, if that stems back from picks and bans, if that stems from other lanes being struggling or falling behind, but it's something that I think with a player of Froggen's caliber needs to be revised and looked at.
Yeah, in my mind, it's so that whenever we think of the period that Froggen was absolutely dominating, it was a totally different game back then, a different meta. It might not necessarily work right now. he should adjust maybe. That is the question out there. But they have other members on that team that could be doing well as well, like JWoww, who we were looking at so much, and the players, the team themselves saying, okay, we're looking at JWoww. He has his team around him now, but he doesn't seem to find his footing either.
Not yet. There's still time. Again, we're in week 3. This was the sort of time in Spring Split that teams started to get back into the groove of things, start fixing some of the issues that they had. So I wouldn't let that ship sail too far yet. There's still a lot of opportunity.
Yeah, and I think just very quickly, if Elements do not revise how they played the game in their 4 previous matches against Fnatic, I think this is a very clear win for Fnatic. Fnatic's playstyle and champions and early to mid-game focus should be able to overrun Elements. So if Elements pull out a curveball and surprise Fnatic, I think that's their only way to get a shoe in the door and maybe challenge the number 2 team in Europe, because Origin have an extra win.
Yeah, absolutely. We need to see if it can be the turning point for Elements. They came into the split with a new roster after a lackluster showing in spring, and their former AD carry Reckless thinks the added experience will serve the reworked lineup well.
Even if there was clear issues, we didn't like talk about them and find a solution together. We just kind of ignored the fact that there were issues and then let it just drag along, and then it ended up being like the death for that team. But then again, I feel like there are a lot of mature players in that team, a lot of veterans who should be able to talk about their issues. So I wouldn't be too worried if I were Elements. It's just about like putting down the work to sort out the issues.
Hello everybody, Crepo and I have commandeered the caster desk as Fnatic and Elements are about to load up for the picks and bans in our 4th match of today.
Yeah, really looking forward to this. You know, I played with Martin or with Reckless in the bot lane, so he's on one side, and you have Elements, old team, on the other, so it'll definitely be interesting matchup.
You have some definite insight on this match, wouldn't you say, Crepo?
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously both teams are vastly different. You know, Fnatic, never played with them, only watched them. They made a lot of roster changes. And then on Elements side, only Froggen remains, but we see some of the old issues still persisting in that Elements lineup, and especially the inconsistency and the low amount of pressure coming out of them. Definitely an issue right now. Despite
the fact that we've had a whole big roster shuffle in the offseason. We'll see if they can maybe pick back up the pieces. We are loading now into picks and bans on the board to start things off. They've been going quick. We got a Vladimir Kasten taken away from Froggen, and Elements have answered back with a Rumble ban against Huni.
Fnatic almost helping Froggen here, in my opinion. Taking away the Vladimir, which is a slow farmer, taking away the Kasten, which is a slow scaling champion, saying, hey Froggen, you better pick something with pressure, and I think it would actually be good for Elements.
Yeah, I feel like this will force him into maybe picking something outside that comfort zone. We'll see if that's the case, as LeBlanc is also banned away. Fnatic are tripling down on focusing on Froggen. And Elements, they've doubled down already with Huni. But again, the Rise is kind of a must ban right now, so that's no surprise.
Yeah, no surprise that teams ban out Huni. Fantastic performance all around. The Rumble ban has become a staple ban. You have to ban Rise. And you have to ban Alistar, but Echo is open and the crowd loves it.
Yes, he is. Now, this is the question. We talked about this a lot over the week. Is he first pickable? There's certain scenarios, counter-pick scenarios. Febivin said in a recent interview, it's kind of a gamble when you choose a new champion, but he noted, I definitely have counterplay available. Makes me think he's not going to want to pick it. He's going to want to bait Elements into taking it.
Yeah, I don't think we'll see it first rotation, but what do I know? The crowd wants Echo, but we get Kalista on first draft here. Fantastic 80 carry. Urgot and Sivir are still open of the initial carries that we saw a lot, but yeah, Reckless confident in his Kalista play here.
Reckless very, very confident in his ability to play this champion. Elements on their side, what will they take? What will they focus on? We have seen the Fizz top lane today earlier. It's a very slippery fish.
Yeah, if history repeats itself, we'll see a Gragas pickup early here from Dexter, prioritizing that over Rek'Sai, if I recall correctly. So definitely found some openings. Dexter has had a lot of kill participation, has found some ganks, but people need it. And here we go, Echo locked in!
I can't hear any echoes, but I see a cheer in there. And with Dexter on the Gragas as well, this is going to be a game to remember. What does Fnatic answer with?
Time will tell.
Time will tell. In about 4 seconds, I'd say.
Exactly. Well, maybe a little longer this time.
Okay, we might have to wait.
Fnatic still looking for picks. Febivin, obviously an adept mid laner, plays a lot of solo queue, so he will be used to playing against Echoes of varying skills. I'm not sure who's even gonna play it. You know, it might be JWoww, might be Froggen.
That's true. We don't really know what lane it's gonna be in.
It's not gonna be jungle. That's for sure.
It's fair. Now Fnatic, so they're taking their time a little bit about this. I feel like they can definitely get away with that and not really reveal much this round if they take their full bot lane. Morgana looking like a tempting target, as is the Rek'Sai as we move down the jungle tier list. Last few seconds ticking away, and Fnatic will elect to, looks like, take them both.
Good response, providing they lock this in. Morgana gives you the Black Shield safety to dodge. We'll get to the Bard in a little bit, guys. Hang on. Morgana Black Shield gives you the ability to at least dodge the stun component of Echo's W, parallel convergence, as well as give you some safety in lane. Rek'Sai is obviously the answer to Gragas that we see usually come out, so Fnatic not giving away much information on this round of picks. They turn it over to Elements to say, hey, give us some more information, and then we'll counterpick part of your lineup, and then the eventual last pick comes out for Elements. And the crowd cheered already. They got Echo. Yeah. They got Bard. Everybody's happy. I'm happy.
You know, it's hard to turn a crowd to cheer for the team playing against Fnatic, but Elements appear to have found that secret now. So what do you think Fnatic is going to round this out with? If you had to speculate where the Echo's going to be, because we really don't know yet, what would be your gut instinct?
I mean, they can go in many directions here, so let's see what's left. So they have the bot lane, they have the junglers, so they need both solo lanes, both staple carries for Fnatic. We have Huni's Hecarim being open, locked in, and the Azir Hover from Febiven earlier gets locked in anyways. So Elements only need to find a champion 4 taps. Sivir is open, but it's going to be rough to play into the Kalista. Traditionally, we see Urgot sometimes locked in, but then it goes short range again. But Bard changes the dynamic of a lot of lanes in the bot lane, and I really like it. And I'm very, very eager to see how this pans out.
Yeah, very eager indeed. Still waiting a little bit for this last lock-in. What will it be for Tabs?
Now I want to touch back on the Fizz, because we talked about all these crazy picks, but didn't really mention the Fizz. We saw it earlier today, and it's a staple pick over in China. Gets played a lot there. Tanky Fizz with Smite usually, and it's actually considered to be a decent lane into the Hecarim. So maybe Elements was already aware that Fnatic was going to resort to the Hecarim for Huni.
Well, the surprises keep on coming as Elements, it looks like this game, we're going to go Vayne spotting, Crepo.
Yeah, I don't think we'll see much Vayne spotting. I like it against this Fnatic lineup, because the Condemn will be good against the Rek'Sai when she's tunneling in on you, good against the Hecarim when he's charging at you. You won't probably get the Azir, but it's also decent trading straight damage onto the Kalista, because she can't hop out of any of Vayne's damage, right? All damage will land, and can dodge bindings. So in addition to that sustain that a Bard brings to the lane, will transition that laning phase a little easier for the Vayne. So I think I like the pickup here. Okay. Elements low and wave clear though, yet again.
Yeah, so we've gone over the basics of the lanes and how Elements should expect to do in this one, especially now that we have the mid lane Echo confirmed as the timer ticks down there. Talk me through how these fights are going to go, how we expect Elements to perform based on what we've seen so far of them split, and how this comp works together.
So it's very hard to read what Elements exactly wants to do. Coaches shake their hands there, because it's chaotic and a lot of variables. We don't know how Froggen's gonna take the approach to the Echo, right? How is he gonna play it? Is he gonna play it aggressively, or is he gonna bait people in, throw down the parallel convergence, and then ulti back inwards to proc that instant stun and those passive procs? Many options. There's a lot of variables for Elements in this roster. You know, they can use the magical journeys, they can use the counter breaker from Echo, and then they have the Fizz with TP Smite flanking around as well. So a lot of options. Fnatic more of a standard composition here, more straightforward. They want the Huni to teleport in, dive into the backline with the Hecarim, flank, you know, maybe with Rainover, and just have a strong bot lane combo in the Kalista Morgana. Yeah, I'm really eager to see this match.
I could definitely tell. We are getting very excited. The crowd is very pumped. Zoom in on the Bard and the Echo to get this one underway. The first Echo game in the LCS, and Froggen will be the man behind it. Let's see how it goes.
All right, so Echo is relatively short range on his normal basic attack. He's pretty much melee range. So Froggen opting for the Flask here, more of a sustained lane. Just wants to farm against that ranged Azir poke. It'll be interesting to see if we see a lane swap. Huni opting for the teleport ignite. This might prompt Elements to say, okay, we want to swap away from that bot lane. We want our Fizz to jungle because he has a smite. It's going to be a lot easier than Huni with his ignite. In addition to that, gives Vayne the scaling lane as well, and keeps the Hecarim with ignite down. Likely that we'll see a swap initiated here by Elements.
See if that is indeed the case. Huni's going to throw down basic ward in the Tri-Brush. Start things off. Nothing revealed from the Elements camp just yet, however.
Double ward on the bot side, Tab's bases. Elements cover their grounds. They know Fnatic didn't go in for the deep lane swap ward, but it looks like Fnatic has a read on the situation as well. They know that it's likely that Elements will initiate that swap. They don't want to reveal any cards with deep vision. And they say, okay, we're going to take the 50-50, which is more of an educated guess, 70-30, and swap their bot lane to the top side. And Huni starting on a camp in the meanwhile too.
Yes, indeed. So, with Reckless and Yellowstar hanging around closer to that blue buff as well, we may see the blind swap around and get our 2v2 up in the top, the infamous Australia lanes.
Yeah, Tab's initiating a freeze on top lane, and then Promiscue's going to check the buff.
He's going to run right into it.
Might get caught here.
Oh
binding.
no, that's a level 1 binding, and Huni's there as well. Exhaust is on, and this Bard will be taking no magical journeys as he goes down. First blood over to Reckless.
Yeah, beautiful read by Fnatic. They expect the swap, and when a team swaps their bot lane to the top lane, they usually don't do a camp. They send out their support to find, hopefully, the jungler and the top laner in a combination, doing a camp and stop him. Bard's really good at stopping 1v2, but if he runs into a trap, into a binding, he straight up dies, and he makes that top lane incredibly hard immediately off the bat.
Yeah, rough start for Elements. Bottom, or rather duo lane, I should say. Meanwhile, we'll see how the rest of it all goes, but, you know, this game, I feel like Elements have taken a lot of risks, and in contrast to their other games this split so far, when they've tried to play safe, they've tried to play on the back, and it just has burned them with teams just out, playing them out, maneuvering them, and focusing on beating them down in the lanes. This is the kind of thing I feel like Elements has to do to try and get ahead against this very powerful Fnatic squad.
Yeah, Elements definitely trying to survive this early game. We saw Tabs has to tumble out of these bindings. If one of them hits one auto attack from Morgana, you see that one part of the passive from Kalista popping up. If Yellowstar hits the one auto attack there, 12% of Tabs' maximum HP will just instantly disappear. But yeah, passive top lane, won't see too much action. They'll have to try and farm under the tower. Meanwhile, Huni pushed into the bot lane, has a lot of pressure there. JWoww will have to farm in their tower, but we have no idea where Dexter is. So he's putting pressure on all lanes right now because people have no idea where he started, what he's doing. See if he can find yet another opening. Every game so far, Dexter has found a couple decent openings in the early game.
Exactly, and historically, the last couple of weeks, this is what Elements has really relied on, being able to have Dexter exert pressure across all the lanes. He obviously can't be in all of them. Gragas would be needing to run a little bit faster to do that. However, right now, he's doing work for Fnatic, or rather for Elements, as Fnatic doesn't know anything about his position.
Yeah, and Yellowstar with the binding there, basically forcing Tabs to drop some CS. When you're under your tower, you become very predictable in your movement because you'll have to walk towards those low HP creeps to get them. Yellowstar doing his best to zone. Gets caught here in the wall a bit though.
Yeah, and he's going to get jumped up. Yeah, Tabs, oh, the Ignite is on him, or rather it is burning as the heal comes out for Reckless. That will force the flash from Yellowstar, a very close call.
Liking that combo, wall stun from the Bard into the Condemn. No Black Shield present. Ignite forces heal and flash.
I really, really like the way that they're utilizing pretty much every aspect of Bard's kit here to be able to use the soft CC. They've got the heal shrines to give Vayne a little bit more sustain in the early game. However, Reignover's now turned his attention upwards to this top side. Tabs and Promiscue might be smelling something is up.
Now Reckless and Yellowstar were constantly pushing that wave in the top lane. Suddenly they decide to no longer push and bounce the wave. This should give away to the top lane for Elements that a gank could be imminent. Meanwhile, Dexter is solidifying the push in the bot lane. He doesn't necessarily want to gank here. He just wants to give JWoww the opportunity to go in. And if Huni goes aggressive, he wants to punish.
Yeah, they do want to punish. Right now, JWoww has been able to acquire himself a decent CS lead over Huni as he throws down the troll pull. He might be too low, however. Huni will follow as Dexter secures the kill, but a 1-for-1 in the bottom.
Overall, still work for Elements there. JWoww acting as if he misplayed. We know Huni doesn't have a flash. Dexter comes in. I think the body slam didn't connect, but barrel plus auto was enough. Huni does get a kill, but kill and assist for Elements, and a wave denied. And the wave bounces back. Now let's watch that again here. JWoww goes in, says, oops, I'm in too deep. But nope, the JPEG acting because here's Dexter coming in, but he doesn't quite survive this, the Ignite right there. And the body slam barely doesn't connect, but one auto is enough to finish Huni off. Thank God they got that. That would have been ugly if he didn't get that kill.
Yeah, it was a very, very close call there. Nonetheless, Elements only down 1 kill in this early game. Taking stock of its very even start. Reignover still focusing on the top. Tabs could be caught.
Tumbles into the minions. That's smart. That's really smart. Reignover comes in now, though.
Yes, he does. However, the Condemn knocks him almost into tower range, and the binding goes wide. Dexter coming up, however.
This is why I like Vayne in the likes of Rek'Sai and Hecarim. Condemn punishes those champions very hard, and then if you want to dodge that, it forces you to use the Black Shield on people you really don't want to use it on, because you'll need it to protect your carries a lot more.
Yeah, we really wanted to focus on this mid lane with the first Echo in the game, and we might finally get a chance as Febiven stunned up a huge chunk of damage, and Froggen is able to dodge out the Sand Soldiers of Shurima. Nice trade onto Febiven.
Yeah, parallel conversion into face dive by Froggen. It's bread and butter of Echo lane here in the middle. He wants to put up that AoE zone and then dash in and stun Febiven before he can expect it, and then walk out before he gets shuffled into his tower. Tab still full HP, trying to farm under his tower. Only down 10 CS, even though his support died early. Definitely doing all right. Elements, not as punished as much as they have been in the past.
Not indeed. Huni, however, is looking to change all of that, but Dexter is here just hanging out in lane, waiting to see if there's a counter gank possible.
Now if Froggen keeps moving left and right under his tower, it's incredibly hard to dive him, because he can always pop that ulti back to his ghost 4 seconds in the past. If you don't know where Froggen was 4 seconds ago, you can't predict where he was going. You need constant vision on him to keep track of that little ghost trailing him. Remember, you don't always see it. Here he goes again.
Yeah, parallel convergence is down. There's the stun. He's in. Dexter has jumped on him as well. Forces the flash, and he chrono breaks all the way back to the minions as Febiven narrowly clings to life.
Beautiful execution, and it does tell that Elements, this is not the first time they're playing Echo.
No, I think there may be a couple practice sessions in that for Froggen. Febiven was confident in his interview that he had a counterplay available to this new champion, but right now it's not looking that way.
And I like this. New champion comes out, this funky little mid laner, and Froggen picks it up. Reminds me back of the likes of Season 2, where Froggen would just throw in random champions that he'd maybe played once or twice and wouldn't be afraid to play them in competitive. Ojin Finals played that Diana. Hadn't even played it before, and phenomenally well, so he still got it.
It's been a rough ride for Elements the last couple of weeks, and you know the way they're playing right now, this is already looking a whole lot better as Promiscu jumps right in, hits by the binding. However, Yellow Star and Reckless don't have quite enough damage to finish it, but Huni does as he dives in. Promiscu's going down, and Dexter's too late to the party.
Yeah, I really wish I could see that with vision. Fight's not over that, yo.
Yeah,
but over comes Huni, double kill.
Onslaught of shadows, double kill for Huni as Dexter goes low. Froggen around the side to try and find an answer kill. He will. However, that's a 3-for-1 all said and done in favor of Fnatic as Febiven now comes around the side with a Sand Soldier, tries to get the pick off or the pushback. Froggen's too quick.
Yeah, chaotic fight altogether, and this kids. Magical journeys are fine, they're nice, but don't do them blind. Always know where you're going. Otherwise, you might find yourselves in precarious positions you'd rather not be in. And Fnatic 5-2 right now. Huni got shut down a little bit and already involved in all the kills. And yet again, JWoww trailing behind.
He is able to push Reckless and Yellowstar off this tower, though, and Elements really needed to stop it after the fight, or the skirmish, I should say, went horribly awry. Speaking of,
look at this vision.
Take a look at it.
Vision. So they see Yellowstar, they see Reckless. Still opts to go for it. Misses the Cosmic Lightning. Teleport for Huni. Tabs is forced to go melee range Vayne. Forced to disengage towards the bot side, towards the jungle. Huni picks up 1 kill. Dexter, now Elements is in panic mode. They want to get out here. Yeah, I don't know. Very, very sloppy. Beautiful flash knockup from Vayne over here. Dexter goes down 2. And all the time they gained, all the momentum they had, all the tempo they had, the Elements just lost it. Crucial mistake.
In that case, might be all on Echo to try and get that time back for him. 10 minutes have elapsed, speaking of time, and Fnatic have amassed themselves a 1,500 gold lead. However, no towers or dragons have entered play just yet. It's just been a series of scattered skirmishes.
Now, while Huni is a little bit fed, we still have the Condemn to possibly stop him in fights. JWoww still has a decent amount of CS to assist. It's getting pretty tanky. Promiscu is scaled down. He doesn't have his sights on yet.
Yeah, I do want to touch on this JWoww because we have seen a fair amount of this Cinderhulk Fizz all across the board. I've been sort of delving a little bit into why it's so popular. It enables you to really dive the backline and become this sort of strange assassin tank hybrid. But right now, JWoww, he's set a little bit back. So what does he do from here, Krepo? Well,
he obviously tries to complete his build, get tanky, and rely on his base damages. Bruiser Fizz, or Cinderhulk Fizz, rather relies on his base damage from W. Obviously, Froggen trying to defend this tower here.
Tries to run in. Convergence doesn't land, however, the Onslaught of Shadows will, but within tower range, they're not in a position to dive for it. So, An ult burned there by Huni. Be back up in short notice as both Elements and Fnatic turn their attention somewhat down towards this side of the Dragon. Froggen looks to come in. Once again, misses the convergence on Febivin, but he has put the fear in him.
Now what I really like about this Elements composition is that they have the outplay potential with Tempered Fate and with parallel conversions on Froggen and Promiscue respectively. Let's see how much they've practiced this, how well they're playing with the Bard. Obviously Black Shield can deny the Tempered Fate, which is the Bard ultimate, but if you can land it on the Kalista, then you can send in the likes of JWoww, Dexter to immediately assassinate them, blow him up, and switch to the next carry. Still looking for a flank in mid lane.
Yes, he is. Febivin, wary under tower as Froggen pushes forward with the wave. The soldiers come out, and there is the convergence, but Froggen's gonna dash in the Tempered Fate, and they just don't have the right timing there, as Febivin is gonna get chunked down. Froggen will take a pick, and the tower not gonna help too much.
All right, guys, it looked bad for a little bit, but at least Froggen and the tower got immunized by Promiscue ultimate. That's what you want to do. You want to dive with Bard, and you want to disable that tower. He couldn't really predict that Froggen would dash in there, and you see Froggen's putting so much pressure in this game right now. He started out the match by throwing in parallel conversion and dashing in with his E. Now, Febivin, a good player as he is, he's adapting. Now, every time you see Froggen throw down parallel conversion, Febivin's dashing out. He knows Froggen will dash in, try and stun him. Worst case, Chrono Breaker out. So we've seen the reactions already here. Yellowstar wants to land that bind, Playful Trickster out. So back to that action and that you know, the adaptiveness from both teams, but they use their combos to their advantage. They dive Febivin, and Elements, they're staying afloat, and this is the most pressure I've seen Froggen do in a very, very long time.
Yeah, and he's certainly getting back to that form that a lot of people have expected of him. 2-0 to start off the game. It's not too bad, but Fnatic, they've just polished off one tower. They're getting close to another up top. However, Elements did answer. Well, get close to answer on the top side as we had Tab Solo picking this off. But look at this. Nobody here from Elements as they're busy trying to chase down Huni. This tower is going to be Fnatic's for free.
Yeah, this all goes back to that earlier play on the top lane that we saw. It lost the tempo, lost the pressure. So Elements is trying to claw back into the game. As a cost, they have to give vision in different areas, and they have to concede objectives. Just trying to make smart picks, and they have to play around their cooldowns. They use too much on that kill on Febivin, leaving the Dragon exposed. Tabs is still farming up a Storm in the top lane. He wants to start scaling to that game, become a secondary threat along Froggen's Echo. By no means is this game over, but Fnatic yet again with a 20-minute gold lead. Or a 15-minute gold lead, rather.
Yeah, we're getting close to that mark, but Dexter is doing what he needs to do for the team. He's applying a fair amount of pressure here. They just got to be careful not to overextend as the binding comes out. That's going to force the body slam away. Promiscue waiting in the brushes, but the rest of Fnatic are coming to the aid here. Froggen is starting to chase Febivin down through the river. Teleport available for JWoww as he stands back on Fountain. This could get hairy quick.
Now, I really like this lineup from Elements when it comes to rotating. They don't have the best siege. They can dive towers with Tempered Fate, immunizing a tower, so to say, but they can rotate pretty well because Froggen can always jump back to his Ghost. Tempered Fate can always engage. They have Magical Journey. So much outplay potential on the side of Elements, but they're going in.
They are going in, but Dexter says, nah, let's reset this one. As Huni comes in with the teleport, JWoww is going to follow. Huni stunned, Chum the Water's on, dashes away, right back into Froggen as Febivin picks off Dexter. We've got ourselves a 1-for-1, and Elements opt to take the retreat as Froggen's a little bit too low to get back involved in this one.
Beautiful stuns by Promiscue. Huni lands with his teleport, immediately gets stunned. JWoww follows up, they take him down. Froggen's in the fight somewhere. Ulti's back out, I believe, or just runs out. Finish up the kill on Huni. They trade him for Dexter, but in addition to that, Elements find themselves a tower. So they're hanging out. 2,000 gold down right now, but they're still scaling back into this game. They're making up for that mistake they made earlier, and Fnatic lose their mid tower.
Fnatic do lose that mid tower. 15 minutes have elapsed now. That Dragon taken by Fnatic, helping them out stat-wise. They've got a tower down in the top. It was just one poke away from Reckless. With him and Yellowstar now continuing to push here. Let's take a look at what happened, though, just a minute mid.
So again, parallel conversion. Forces Febivin out. Froggen takes a lot of heat here. Dexter disengage, forces flash on Rek'Sai. Watch this stun from Promiscue on Huni. Huni procs him into the wall, into the Condemn, into the Fizz ulti. Huni goes down, Froggen goes back. Races him off. Tempered Fate stalls Reckless a little bit. And the disengage from Elements. So well executed fight. Again, double stun from Bard. If you want to chase the Bard, do it alone. Because if two people chase him, just use his Q. We have Cosmic Binding, we have Dark Binding. A lot of bindings.
We We do indeed. Reckless and Yellowstar now. They're roving around the side to see if they can grab themselves a little bit of vision and maybe get a chance finding off Froggen and Promiscu and Dexter. They're all here. Yellowstar doesn't know he's on a ward. He could be caught in the trap. Parallel convergence, but he's spell immune thanks to the Black Shield. Froggen, however, has other ideas as he comes in. The Fate's call to pull him back, and now he hops himself back to the safety of his teammates. There's so many dashes and blinks in this game, Crepo. It's hard to keep track of what's going on.
Yeah, I feel like Elements could have executed that better. If you have full vision on somebody on a ward, ready to face check, Magical Journey, anything, break the spell shield, land a CC somehow, get that pick. But Yellowstar survives, knows Reckless has his back. And speaking of Reckless, we haven't mentioned him much, but he's 2-0-3 against his ex-team right here. Blade of the Ruined King finished, definitely doing well. He's strong enough to transition into that mid game. We said before, Kalista falls off a little bit. If she falls behind her item build, definitely doesn't do so. In terms of other spikes, Huni finished his Triforce already. That's quick.
Yeah, and of course on the other side of the board for Elements, you see JWoww taking a little bit more time. He was set behind early, as we said, and of course Reckless counterpart Tabs is really saving up for that late game. He's just been farming up a Storm, but he still finds himself behind Reckless. He hasn't been able to get anything more than an assist. He's got a death already. So Elements, while they are hanging on, while they are doing well, a lot of this is Froggen and Dexter. Promiscu's been doing quite a lot too, let's be fair, but still, I don't think they're really at their full potential just yet.
Yeah, they're still charging up. Froggen and Dexter definitely finally putting pressure. We said this before, Elements usually too far backwards. They're waiting too much, and I love that Froggen comes in with this aggressive Echo pick. 3-0, pays off as well. Definitely mastered the champion so far, or at least adept at the champion. We obviously haven't seen Echo play too much, so we don't know the full skill ceiling of this champion, but it just shows you there's a reason. Teams banned him 3 games in a row so far.
It's exciting to finally get to see it. Now, will Huni fall into the JWoww and Dexter trap?
No flash.
He's got only the Ignite. From the waters, he dodges it out, so that might help him out. As he's on the run, JWoww can't find that much damage on him. Tower still stands, but not too strong. With just a few more hits would be all they need to try and shove this one in, but no minions really left as Huni clears them away with a swipe of the sight.
And we have to call it what it is. That was a mistake by JWoww. That ulti should always land, and Huni should at least be forced to use his ultimate defensively. Again, pressure and tempo lost. They spent so much time setting up that play. They lost their ultimates. They lost the advantage on the map. And look at Fnatic reacting with a bottom tower from pretty much 100 to 0 almost right now.
It was a bit of a dangerous moment for Reignover, but nobody put any damage on. And look at Febib and Sand Soldiers chunking out Tabs and Froggen for just a moment. That'll force them to think twice about defending too heavily. Dragon's up in another 30 seconds. Fnatic have their eyes on this one with the Skull Crab being cleared away.
Yeah, and the only wave clear on Elements' side is the Z-Drive Resonance from Froggen, and maybe a couple of barrels, but Dexter was in the top lane. Froggen was late to that party, rotated a little later because he had to defend mid lane, and Fnatic outmaneuvering their opponents again, and Elements lose 0.8 of their tower. Vision control around Dragon. And they're losing a lot on the map right here.
Yeah, it's going to be dangerous for them to keep up giving up plays.
Huni teleport?
Teleport comes in for a Huni. Are they about to start this one off? They are, and it's going to be on to Tabs. Onslaught of Shadows as he burns. Exhaust was maybe a little bit of overkill there, but they take him down.
Tabs was not ready for that play, and Huni with the creative teleport sacrifices top lane pressure. You could see a potential rotation here from Elements from mid to top to get the cross-map objective, but they kind of need their wave clear down bottom as well, or Fnatic will just keep on pushing onwards. Fnatic obviously has no idea where Elements is right now, so that's why they're a little bit slow in their approach. So they don't know where Promiscu is, they don't know where Dexter is, but they can at least knock on this door and see who answers. If nobody answers, they'll keep knocking.
Knock, who is there? Elements. Froggen, they're coming to the bottom side, but Reckless will be sending a mini wave that way. Second Dragon completed, courtesy of Reignover, as Fnatic continue to grab an ever-increasing lead in this game. 20 minutes on the board, but Elements have been fighting back.
20 minutes on the board, 5,000 gold lead for Fnatic. That's bigger than the average gold lead Origin has at 20 minutes, which was 4,000. The game looks close, or looked close from the untrained eye, but if you look deeper, a lot of pressure is on the Fnatic side right now. Gold advantage on Fnatic. Scaling, I'm not sure, but Elements composition requires a lot of vision to be executed because they have these weird, tricky champions that require outplays, and outplays become so much easier when you have vision, but there's so much pressure from Fnatic coming in. So much darkness for Elements to work in, and it's getting increasingly more grim. Back into the corner yet again.
However, I feel like regardless of how this game goes, this is Elements showing off a more proactive side of things that we haven't seen from them yet this split. This is very necessary. It's just unfortunate that it's coming off against a team like Fnatic who will almost always be able to out-pressure you, as we're seeing right now.
Yeah, Fnatic, as you say, definitely a top-tier team in Europe, and they show yet again why. They're not too phased. They adapted pretty well. They'll start going in here.
Here we go. Throws down the convergence. Froggen trying to start this one off as he is going to pop Zhonya's Hourglass, it looked like, or the Tempered Fate went down. Yellowstar and Huni getting knocked all over the place as JWoww trying to tank the line. Rainover is going to get a shutdown, but he will be shut down in return. All said and done, a 2 for 2.
And this is why Zhonya's Hourglass is such a crucial item on Echo, because you go back 4 seconds in time. If you pop it relatively late, you go back, you lose 2.5 seconds to the Zhonya's, and then your clone is on top of you. You pop ulti, you regain that HP immediately, and you do so much AoE damage. It's completely unexpected. Caught Fnatic off guard a little bit, but even then, even with that ultimate from Froggen, Fnatic still win the fight 2 for 2, but with HP advantage. They take down a tower. Gold lead goes down. Let's watch that again. Yellowstar knows he's confident because he has Fate's Call to always get him out. We see parallel convergence. Yellowstar jukes forward. Good. Froggen goes low. But Zhonya's, look how low he is. 20%. Pops ulti. And then does so much damage yet again. Comes out on top of there, tumbles out. So much damage from that Echo. It's one of those champions you simply can't stack on, but Bruiser Fizz or Cinderhulk Fizz in the backline gets shreked. Not enough damage just yet.
Not quite.
Elements, the basics of a good fight, but too far behind to make it count. But this is what they had in theory, right? This is probably what worked for them in scrims, but they fell behind to a strong Fnatic.
Yeah, at this point, it's difficult for them, even with great execution, to come back and, you know, where do they go from here? Are they relying on trying to scale a little bit further into the game? We're only 23 minutes in, but it's been a bloodbath. And Elements, yes, they're down a significant amount of gold, but it's not like they've been completely idle the last couple of minutes. They're really trying to make it happen.
Yeah, they're trying to fight their way back in. Every fight they go even. Fnatic takes an objective off the back. 2 for 2, tower goes down. You know, they try to make a pick in the top lane, they lose half of their bottom tower. Eventually they lose their bottom tower and their dragon. So all these objectives drop left and right. You know, 5 towers to 2 for Fnatic, 2 dragons to none, 9 kills to 6, always that little bit extra. And it translates into gold lead. Froggen going in.
Yellowstar has the Fate's Call, bailout. Reckless pulls him off to one side. It is so hard to pick off anyone in this team with the amount of movement and mobility they've all gotten. Yellowstar just getting bailed out. Second time now by Reckless. A very safe check up there. So, with Elements trying to strong-arm this mid lane, but they don't have any minions at their back to see if they can maybe get a pick off. But Huni looked like he was coming in. He backs away. Parallel convergence is going to land on nobody as Froggen phase dives forward. He's going to get caught by the binding from Yellowstar. Throws out the Time Winder as well. Dexter will clear through the Black Shield. But meanwhile, JWoww's getting dove on. Rainover, however, is caught up between 3 members of Elements. He's going down to Tabs. Give the man a kill.
Yeah, Rainover was split pushing the bottom lane. He had his ulti to join the fight if it happened. Elements say, okay, we can't afford to send anybody bottom, so we'll just start a fight. Rainover panic ultimates in, and good condemned by Tabs. And this buys some breathing room for Elements. They're still down 6,000 gold, but good reaction. They know they can't resort to splitting up their members, because if you split against this lineup, then Fnatic will have your number, because they have the push advantage, they have the vision advantage. Individually, they outplay you. Elements needs to combine their members to make these tricky outplays possible, right? Tempered Fate, Chrono Baker from Froggen, the CC, the disruption coming out of Dexter. They need this to happen. They need to work together as a team, so they don't want to get split up by Fnatic.
Yeah, that is just the trick. So, Fnatic continuing the trend, despite the fact that they got caught out, or rather Rainover got caught out, their Elements still very behind in the gold game. They need to be able to start contesting dragons. They need to be able to start sieging towers. As you said early on in the game, however, they don't really have a comp built for wave clear. So what can you do when all you've got in your bag of tricks is dive?
So even though Elements is behind in gold by 7,000, Froggen is still up 300 gold on Febervin right now. That's big.
I mean, he's having a fantastic performance on this Echo. There's no denying that. But I feel like it's really, really difficult. As you said, they need to come together as a team. The fights have been a little chaotic, a little crazy. You can see that there still are some rough edges to this team. But where's the hope for Elements here? What can they do aside from just trying to continue to get picks and hopefully fight their way out of a gold deficit?
I mean, not much, right? They have to fight their way out. They just have to show that they've mastered their champions better than Fnatic is used to playing against them. You don't very often play against the Bard or an Echo or the combination of both. They definitely want to outplay Fnatic. Fnatic, 2 members on the Dragon, 1 member split pushing, but Elements can't afford to start the Baron. They could do a cheeky magical journey in the back of the Baron pit, try and solo it that way, but Fnatic rather will definitely be ready for it. And again, the pressure advantage on the map for Fnatic. Elements, they try to make a pick. If they don't get it, Fnatic yet again with another objective.
And they pushed away bot at the same time.
No, we actually see. Yes, I love this play. Love it.
Sneaky, 3 members of Elements.
Go Panda Camera down a little bit, and we see the Scuttle Crab giving the inclination of vision. They don't see that Elements got into that Baron pit. I absolutely love Magical Journey from behind on Barons on purple side. This might just be what Elements needs, Pyra.
It might indeed. They take it down. And against the team that was famous for this last split, Elements have snuck a Baron. 27 minutes into the game, they bought themselves a lifeline.
And if you need another reason to play Bard, this is one of them. Sneak those objectives, get your team back in the game, get those teamwork points afterwards, and yeah. Now they can deal with the split. Told you earlier how Fnatic split would be a little bit disruptive for Elements. Now every single member can get the help of their minions, buff them up, give some more push forward, establish vision, de-ward your own jungle, try and create picks. The next 3 minutes will be crucial for Elements. They need to translate this Baron into something, not just a gold lead. They need more.
We'll see if they can. If Fnatic are surprised by this one, Elements go ahead and check out the Dragon, knowing full well that there won't be too much there. Rainover and Yellowstar being a little close for comfort. Huni's backing away. It's a tense moment here with the Baron buff on. JWoww looking to lead a minion squad towards this bottom side. Finally polish off this tower while Yellowstar and Rainover are there to contest.
Remember, Elements can dive any tower right now. They have a whole lot of minions with them, but if they choose to take the fight, they can use Tempered Fate on the tower, make it immune, make it unable to counterattack, and then dive with parallel conversion, face dive combo, with the ultimate from Fizz, with the stuns from Bard, condemns so much outplay potential, and Febiven, he'll be crucial. We'll have to watch the Emperor's Divide. When will it come out? Will be successful.
Here comes the siege, and here comes the dive. Dexter looks, Fate's call to pull Yellowstar back, but Rainover now is diving in the Tempered Fate, slaps Froggen, and stops Febiven, who's getting just absolutely annihilated, but Reckless is able to pick off Promiscue, and the rest of Elements are soon to follow. JWoww, he knows he's got nowhere to go. A double kill for Reckless, Tabs on the run, just can't get it done, and Huni comes up with a double. Froggen is the only one to make it out alive.
Elements, you done goofed. This was not good. Not a good dive. Everything went wrong. Dexter flashes in, doesn't connect the body slam, doesn't get the ulti. They want to get Febiven, but then the Bard ulti, he couldn't predict how that fight goes. Let's watch that again right here. Zero hesitation dive, which I like, because otherwise the Zero Spoke's going to get you out. Follow Dexter at the start here. Body slam flash. Doesn't connect with anybody. Zero flashes out. Tempered Fate. Tower is still attacking everybody right now. Promiscue flashes in and tries to predict his Q, his Cosmic Binding, to stun Febiven when he comes out of the Tempered Fate, but he doesn't connect. Froggen, D-carry, D-gold lead on Elements right now. He was the carry, but he got Zoniast unwillingly. We said how good Zoniast is on Echo if you can go back in time. Yes, it is, but not if it's a Bard ultimate that you didn't want. And that just went haywire.
Yeah, so now Froggen's the only one sitting on that Baron buff. We'll see if they can still make use of it as Yellowstar's actually caught out. Kalissa's nowhere in sight, but the Dark Binding goes down. Froggen does not want to give this one up. He is going for it, securing that kill. Talked about him being the carry, and that is definitely true. 4-1 and 3 on the Echo. And his counterpart Febiven, well, he's been kept a little bit back. It's not laning phase anymore, and he's not really having too much trouble.
Loving the Bard build on Promiscue though. Recommended by a fantastic support player. A level 5 Bard Master. Guys out there, guys. No, seriously, I really like Boots of Lucidity and Locket on Bard because I think he scales so well with CDR. Moves around in these fights, but you still have to connect the stuns, and sadly enough for Promiscue, his ulti wasn't good enough last fight. Cosmic Biden didn't connect, and we saw the Emperor's Divide being crucial for Fnatic to win that fight.
Yeah, this just seems like a very difficult composition to try and pull off. Elements, they've got the tools they need for success, but we've seen multiple times now that they're just having trouble finishing the job and trying to come together. This is a don't try it at home comp.
Yeah, very complex composition. Props to Elements for at least trying it. But we haven't really talked much about Reckless. 5-0-6 right now. 3 items completed, including a QSS to get out of these nasty stunts from Promiscu, prompting him to play at least a little more aggressive. Yeah, definitely solid performance all around by Fnatic. They're still up 8,000 gold. Immediately tell. Yellow Star going in on JWoww here.
Yep,
like opening with ulti.
Shum the Waters does not connect, and with 3 members on him, JWoww knows his days are numbered, as tanky as he is. Reckless puts the spears in him, pulls him right back out, and picks up his 6th kill of the game.
Another kill for Reckless. Good collapse by Fnatic. Rather, Elements down a man, down a fish. Doesn't really matter. It's 4v5.
It's going to be hard for them to hold the line here in 30 seconds on the next Dragon. 32 minutes on the clock. Fnatic are on the fast track to yet another victory to match Origin, keep themselves at the top of the standings. Elements, they're still desperately hunting for another win in the LCS Summer Split. Right now, it's going to be hard-pressed to find it.
Definitely looking grim here for Elements. Their Bleeding Towers, only 1 tier 2 tower left on their side compared to the all 3 of them for Fnatic. I said it, Elements had to capitalize on that Baron. They couldn't. And I don't think Fnatic will fall for the same Magical Journey play again. It will be hard for Elements to pull that off, so they'll need another Hail Mary. And it's on the shoulders of Froggen because the 4th Dragon here is going down for Fnatic.
It goes so quick with Kalista. Another Dragon, easy peasy as Froggen and Promiscu arrive just a little bit too late to the scene of the crime. Tempered Fate's down, but it won't land.
Goes wide. This is what they have to do. They have to try and make this pick, but Tempered Fate on cooldown. Look at the wards from Fnatic as well. A lot of deep vision. They just want to spot a couple of members of Elements rotating around the map. Just want to see where is that Deathfall squad going. Is it left, right, up, or center? Just keep track of them. Then move Huni to the other side. He has teleport. He can push in his lanes. He can 1v1 pretty much anyone. And Fnatic consistently putting pressure on the map, not allowing Elements to go for these picks. And if they do, they have to be the very long-range picks that then again Reckless can hop out of. Febiven can dash out of. Worst case, Black Shield comes in. Very controlled game yet again by Fnatic. It's really hard to make them give up this many kills.
Yeah, and that really brings me to something I wanted to touch on here, because Tabs has had an okay game on this vein, but he can't do much because of the range that Elements need to try and make a play. And I feel like, compared to, you look at Reckless score, obviously he's always going to play very, very well. We've seen this historically time and time again. When does this vein start to become a factor for Elements? How long do they have to wait? Because right now it just seems like it's Froggen and friends.
I mean, Vayne obviously has a problem chasing into the fight. He's very, very good at disengaging maybe on Huni here.
Well, let's see if they can disengage. Huni jumps on in. The barrel comes on out to fly him back as Tabs gets exhausted, cutting around Froggen and Promiscu. They jump on Febiven, but Reckless is down. Promiscu trying to keep himself alive as he hops and skips and magical journeys away. Right over Huni and Yellowstar on the chase onto JWoww, who might not get away from this one. In comes Huni. It's so far been a 1-for-1 with Tabs already falling. JWoww trying to get under tower. He's gonna go in with the Urchin Strike, but Huni is just too strong. 2-for-1. Advantage Fnatic.
Yeah, very close fight altogether, considering the goal disadvantage for Elements, but then on the back of the fight,
it's not over yet.
They're all very low HP. Promiscu.
He's trying to run away from this one. Gets hit by the Dark Binding. Portal's up, but he can't go through.
Yeah, that journey wasn't going anywhere anyways. Still impressive that they managed to kill Reckless in the backline. Had to use his flash. Not sure how that happened. Froggen didn't die in the fight. The gold lead for Fnatic is getting bigger and bigger here. 10,000 gold in the lead right now. 17-9. 4 dragons to none. And the timer's on Fnatic right here. They want that 5th dragon. Let's see how that fight plays out here. Both AD carries getting the pressure. Good condemn. Perhaps tumbles upwards. Disengage is used by Dragonstair. Tempered Fate goes wide. Froggen goes low. Zonias's. So
this was 2 fights, basically.
Yeah, 2 fights where the AD carries have to try and survive a horde of enemy assassins jumping on them. Not where you want to be, but then usually the fight with the stronger tank line wins. You see in your pip camera here, picture in picture. Fnatic claim the Baron. Might be the nail in the coffin here, Pyra.
To the victors go the spoils, and Fnatic are aiming to be just that. Magical Journey, Huni follows through. Takes a little bit of damage for his trouble, but he's just not worried at all. So now, Baron empowered. Fnatic are looking to shove down mid and brute force their way to another win here in the LCS Summer. This tower is just getting shredded down. In comes the Tempered Fate. It lands on a Febiven as he can't do much for a moment. JWoww tries to jump into the back tabs, still poking away at Rainover, who just is going to be able to get out and back and reset the fight. Dexter falls down. Rekkles picks him up. Onslaught of Shadows and tabs is down. Febiven going on a rampage as Huni picks up the Bard. Promiscu falling down, and so is the Inhibitor. And Fnatic are on a tear towards the Nexus.
Fnatic bulldoze over Elements right here. Nothing they can do to stop the onslaught of Shadows here. So much damage coming out of Fnatic.
So much damage indeed, and they take the final swipe towards the Nexus. Elements, they're down, they're out. Fnatic still undefeated in the LCS Summer.
Yeah, smiles all around. Pretty close game, a weird game. Hard
Very
to track.
strange.
If you glance on it from the outside, at points in the game, you wouldn't really know that the goal difference was as big. But Fnatic, basically thieves in the night almost. The way they were stealing these objectives here and there, almost going unnoticed. Magnifying that gold lead, and Huni here was behind a little bit early, and I can't stress enough how that early play on the top lane, where the spontaneous magical journey into a face check, and then Huni teleported in, he got double kill, Rainover with a beautiful flash knockup. Again, the synergy and experience from the Fnatic roster kicking in, and Rekkles seamlessly fitting in perfectly, taking over where Steelback left off. And
yeah,
Elements still with some coordination issues. I liked though what they did. I really liked the composition to an extent. Yes, it may have been low on wave clear, but it was audacious. It was forward. It was active. It was not on the back foot.
Exactly, and you have to experiment when clearly things aren't working. They're off now to a 1-4 start in the summer split. However, that gives some hope. That says we're going to try and figure out what we can do as opposed to sticking with what we know when it clearly wasn't enough. So, kudos to them for engaging in the scientific process, but Fnatic, right now, they are still up there. They are still the Sharks, sharing the top spot with Origin.
Yeah, definitely fantastic performance. And looking at Froggen's gold, he only ended the game roughly 1,000 gold down on Febiven, given how large the gold lead was for Fnatic. Definitely impressive performance by him.
First Echo.
Put in a lot of time on Echo. First Echo we've seen, and I like it. I love the champion. I love the versatility he brings to these fights. The outplay potential you have. You saw that Zhonya's into ulti. We haven't even mentioned it that much, but Echo doesn't really have to walk back to the laning phase either. He can just, you know, he goes back 4 seconds in time, so you finish your base, buy an item. If you can shop under 3 seconds, which you could, if you're an experienced shopper on the Rift.
Gotta be quick. Gotta get those sails, snap them up before they go away.
Ulti back to lane, and it worked. Froggen had a lot of pressure. We saw him push in Febiven, we saw him try to roam, but when he arrived in that top lane, the fight was already over. Huni got back into the game, Rainover got a couple assists there, and yeah, just started snowballing from there.
Yeah, so that was definitely one hell of a game, guys. Now, to talk a little bit more about it, we're going to send it over stage side where Pulse is joined by Fnatic's man in the middle.
Thank you very much, Pyro and Rich Pulse Camp, and I am joined, of course, here by Febiven after his victory. Now, Febiven, the champion select, you guys all got your comfort picks. Did everything go as planned as champion select?
Yeah, we basically got every OP champion we play. And our comp was super strong compared to theirs, so we just had to farm up and then we would win the team fights.
Yeah, you looked super convincing in that game. Now, something that everyone is going to want to know, how did your mid lane matchup go against the Echo? Froggen picked it very early into Champion Select. How do you think the matchup is?
I actually never played this matchup because the champ is just out and it's getting banned a lot in solo queue, so I don't have a lot of practice against Echo, but I just told myself to farm up, and then I knew how strong Azir would be like in late game, mid game. So yeah, Echo is pretty strong, I think, his laning phase, because his shield is pretty broken, but next patch is gonna get nerfed, so I think he's pretty overrated.
Well, your mid game was very solid, but there was a Baron that was able to be sneaked. It didn't seem like it mattered at all to you. What was going through your mind once you saw the Baron go over to Elements?
We had no vision on Baron, and I think they got it because they used the spell of Bard. I'm not sure. Yeah, we just should have had the vision on that, but unfortunately.
just didn't work out. But either way, you brought it home, and now that means you're 5-0. Is there anyone who can take you down? You look incredibly convincing. Out of all the people that you have left to play, do you think anyone can even upset you?
I think there's still teams who can upset us because we're still making a lot of mistakes, but we're getting better and better every week, so it's going to be really hard for the other teams to beat us.
Well, fantastic. Congratulations once again on your win and for taking the time to talk to me. Now we're going to shoot it over to the analyst desk to break down that game in more detail.
Thank you so much, Pulse. And he was fishing, Pulse, but Febiven didn't say it might be Origin. And, well, good on him. He doesn't want to pick it out, but that is a matchup that is on the books for next week, Fnatic versus Origin. Definitely got our eyes on that one as well. Something else Febiven said in the interview, yeah, I was quite confident in our comp. We knew we were stronger, so, you know, easy. But that didn't seem that way when we saw the picks come out, especially with that Echo.
Well, first and foremost, I was super excited to see every single one of the last 5 champions that's been released in one game. I was even more excited to see Bard and Kalista and Echo, because that's what we were talking about before Crepo broke Echo down. And I was excited to see Elements playing aggressively. I'm still not a massive fan of the team comp because a lot of the champions needed time to scale, but they played around the champion strengths very well. They were a lot more decisive in game than we've seen in previous weeks. So for Elements, there's a lot of positivity to take from this particular matchup. For Fnatic, they got old comfort picks, and they simply did what Fnatic does best. Find fights, find kills, and win the game.
Yeah, they did. As you said, though, good things coming out of Elements. And Dexter, in the interview with you last week, said we got to go back to basics. Yet they pick a comp that is in need of a lot of good communication, a lot of good coordination. And it did show that they had control over that, especially in some of the combos we saw early game.
Yeah, they really did. I want to talk about one replay, if we can pull it up really quickly. It's a mid lane dive that Froggen starts off. Take a look at the mini-map, and you can see that both Dexter as well as Promiscu are moving their way to the lane. So, Froggen uses the parallel convergence, his W, to zone Febiven towards the tower. And because of the Bard ultimate, the Tempered Fate, keeping Froggen in place for such a long time, he can actually use the Chrono Break offensively. And that's something that is very difficult to set up. It looked like it was going to go a bit sketchy, but Froggen and the rest of the team end up pulling off what turned out to be a very successful tower dive.
Yeah, definitely. After that, though, Fnatic is racking up that gold advantage. And although we can see the gold advantage, at some points it didn't really feel that close.
It didn't feel...
Sorry, as far apart.
I was going to say, it certainly felt closer than I think Fnatic would have liked at that comfortable point. But honestly, Elements looked better as a unit, as you saw the play there. Just in general, in team fights, it was getting better, but Fnatic team fights so well when it comes to things. So we've got another replay, actually, that we wanted to take a look at, and it was another one of the fights, this time in the jungle. Interestingly, Senkux, the player that played in Challenger Series Echo earlier this week, tweeted that of just how difficult it is to get an offensive Chrono Break out. This time, Froggen does manage to get some damage down and get himself out of that fight. So credit to Froggen on being able to get that down. But you can see that Fnatic, after what looked a bit of a sketchy start to that fight, kind of managed to come away with it a little bit better off than they should have. But honestly, both teams coming out of that one with a fair amount of presence when it comes to their team fighting prowess.
Yeah, and also just think on the side of Elements, such a difficult team comp to pull off. With the champions that they've got, Fizz wants to flank, Echo wants to be everywhere, Bard, the timing on that Tempered Fate, there's so many unique mechanics that you don't see in many other champions that is very difficult to balance. And I think that's part of the reason Elements were a little sketchy at times in some of those team fights. But it was good to see them playing. It was good to see them playing positively and aggressively.
Yeah, definitely. Going back to basically saying the caster curse that we sometimes talk about, that we talk about players, they doing good, then they do bad. Froggen actually did a really good job on the Echo and at some points definitely showing his mechanical prowess. But we have to know if Elements will be able to translate that into their picks as they go into the next weeks. You definitely want to see some less scaling coming out still.
Yes, I really want to. I just keep thinking to myself, what if Froggen had played a different early game champion, had the same sort of impact? Yes, Echo can be great, but it's so difficult to set him up, right? So I still think there's something that needs to be discussed. At the end of the day, Elements, they've got their own coaching staff, they've got their own team decisions to make. But it's something that, you know, you hear Dexter, let's go back to basics, go to foundations. And then they run Bard, Smite, Fizz, and Echo. It's like, well, I don't know what foundations mean to Elements, but it might be something different to the rest of the world.
Yeah, not yet another victory, but things are looking up. Now we're going to take a quick break in a second as the Copenhagen Wolves set up to face Gambit, who are still looking for their very first victory of the summer. And at Me Our Boys thinks today could be the day. He writes, I don't see anything coming back beside Gambit. Once they had adjusted to Forgiven, they might actually start stomping. Well, only time will tell, as Echo would say. So don't touch that browser. We'll be back here in 3.5.
Wait, should we pick this right? Yeah, we should, I guess.
Can we insta-log Echo, please? Fight's not over that, yo.
Yep,
Here
comes
Huni, double kill!
Onslaught of Shadows, double kill for Huni as Dexter goes low. As Huni comes in with the teleport, JWoww is going to follow. Huni stunned, Chum the Water's on, dashes away, right back into Froggen as Febivin picks off Dexter.
On me, Fizz.
Vayne.
Hey, Echo on board, Echo on board.
Vayne.
Echo. Look.
Stay together, stay together.
Thank you, everyone. Nice.
Poking away at Rainover, who just is going to be able to get out and back and reset the fight. Dexter falls down, Reckless picks him up, onslaught of Shadows, and Tabs is down. Fnatic still undefeated in the LCS summer.